Mallory Bardwell, your world-famous producer. Mike Shoesmith is our correspondent out of Toronto, Canada. Most of our listeners know Mike very well. For those that are new listeners, and we get new ones all the time, Mike has been with me from the beginning of Freedom Friday years ago, and he lives up in the Toronto, Canada area, but works all over the United States and Canada. He's also an author, an accomplished author, and he is a syndicated blogger. He's also the executive director of the ppsimmons News and Ministry Properties, which now is a mega viral news and ministry on the internet. And Mike handles that with all the people that work underneath him on the ppsimmons channel. So Mike Shoesmith, thank you for your almost every week appearance with us. We know you're a super busy guy, but we love your commentary and opinions. God bless you, Mike. Thanks for being with us.
Well, thanks. It's an honor to be on the show with you, as always. I love you guys. I love my Florida family down there. I miss you guys. It's been a while since I've been down there. And in addition to all that you just said in the introduction, I'm also seeing red a lot. Are you seeing red a lot? Red lines are everywhere, right? Everybody's got their red line, don't they?
They do. I think God's got one, too. Tell us about it.
Well, you know, I'm sure we're all, in case you're not familiar with the red line phrase, you know, it's become an international moniker now that people are placing on, you know, the Israeli Prime Minister. He put one on Iran, right? If Iran crosses the red line, you got to go in.
Right.
They've crossed it and then some, haven't they? I think.
Right.
And, you know, Obama, he used it on Syria, right? Well, Syria crossed that red line weeks ago with the use of chemical weapons, right?
Right.
But what do you think? Do you think God has a red line? And a better question is, did America cross it this week?
Right.
This is an amazing story. This is I look at this, and I, even though I'm the one who wrote it and flushed it out, I'm still amazed by it. And you heard of the book called The Tale of Two Cities?
Oh yeah, I've read the book.
Well, it opens with this line: "It was the best of times. It was the worst of times."
That's right.
People will know that. Well, that line. What follows that line is, it was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness, it was the epoch of belief, it was the epoch of incredulity, it was the season of light, it was the season of darkness, it was the spring of hope. You recognize that word, the spring of hope?
Yeah, I do.
It was the winter of despair. We had everything before us, we had nothing before us. We were all going directly to heaven, and we were all going the other way, right?
Right.
That's the opening paragraph in
correct.
Charles Dickens' 1859 classic novel, A Tale of Two Cities.
Yep.
The novel depicts the plight of the French peasantry, right, demoralized by the French aristocracy in the years leading up to the Revolution. There's a lot of revolution talk in the air, Carl.
I know.
The corresponding brutality demonstrated by the revolutionaries toward the former aristocrats. You know, when the revolutionists they began to make some headway against the aristocracy in the early years of the revolution, and then Dickens makes a parallel with life in London during that same time period, A Tale of Two Cities.
Right.
Is America in a time, as described by Dickens, mind you, on the verge of a great revolt? I mean, there's revolt in the air.
Mm-hmm.
Now we fast forward to May 14th, 2013. That was this past week. This will blow your minds, I promise you. Minnesota Governor Mark Dayton, he signed the bill on Tuesday, the 14th, that makes gay marriage legal, and that will become legal on August the 1st, but he signed the bill on Tuesday, this past Tuesday, the 14th.
Sure did.
And in fact, the last time you were on ppsimmons Radio, we predicted that.
Yes, you did. I remember when you did.
I know. They were debating it. I said, they're going to pass it. You watch.
Yep.
But this is amazing. This makes Minnesota the 12th state of the union to legalize the abomination of same-sex marriage. The 12th.
Right. And that number 12 is biblically significant.
I know. You are an expert on not on numerology, but on biblical numerics.
Right.
You are an expert.
Well,
I've learned a lot from you over the years. The number 12 is a biblical number, and it represents government. There were 12 sons of Jacob, who later became known as Israel. These 12 sons became the heads of the 12 tribes of Israel.
Right.
Many people may not know.
Jesus picked 12 disciples. There are two sets of 12 thrones around the throne of God in Revelation 4 and 5. The number 12 is huge.
Yeah, and many people may not know that Ishmael who was the son of the slave woman Hagar, he was made a promise by God that he would be a great nation, but he would be an angry man, against his neighbors and against everything. He'd just be a warmonger.
Right.
But he would have 12 heads of that nation, and it just so happens that Ishmael had 12 sons.
Right.
It's an amazing thing. So 12 is the number of government. Now, Minnesota became the 12th state of the Union to legalize this abomination. And was this the 12th state to legalize? I mean, as though a state could undo an edict from God, right? I mean, it's almost laughable to say they legalized gay marriage. Well, it's not marriage at all. Was that the red line for God? Is judgment on America imminent? And here comes the mind-blowing aspect of this. On the very same day that Minnesota legalized same-sex marriage, which is a clear violation of biblical marriage, two bald eagles, locked together by their talons in a midair battle, crash-landed onto a runway at the northeastern Minnesota airport in Duluth.
Yeah, and before you go any further, in case someone's listening to this and saying, "My gosh, that's astounding," but that's kind of a weird connection. It was on the headlines of Drudge. It was on the headlines of ppsimmons. It's all over the internet. What you're saying is absolutely true. These two bald eagles locked talons. Go ahead from there.
Well, and these two stories appeared on separate sites, and we saw them. People were saying, "Hey, look at this," and other people saying, "Well, hey, look at this." And I'm looking at it, and I'm putting the two together in my mind, thinking, "Is this a sign from God?" The Minnesota Department of Natural Resources, which essentially is the government. Ronald Reagan once said the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help."
Yeah, right.
I love that. Anyway, the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources, the DNR over there in Minnesota, the guy's name is Randy Hansel. His name's been published, so we can say it. Says the adult eagles, they couldn't separate Sunday before slamming into the tarmac there at Duluth on the very day that Minnesota. Now, this is important because the eagle represents the United States of America, right?
Yeah.
Now, he tried to take the birds. This is amazing. He tried taking the birds to the Duluth Wildlife Rehab Center. He covered them with blankets and jackets on the back of his pickup and held them down with webbing straps. En route, he says, he heard a ruckus and saw one bird jump out and fly away. And we have the story on our blog, the full story. Now, was this a prophetic sign from God? America is literally split in two, isn't it?
It's an amazing parabolic picture. It surely is. Go ahead.
Yeah, and the two are, I mean, let's face it, the two are conservatives and liberals. Those are the two existential realities in America today.
Constitutional Republicans and socialists.
Right. And with the bourgeois middle class sleeping on the table. The old saying goes, if you're not at the table, you're on the table.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, the two eagles, they were locked in this epic battle, right? Is the Lord showing us that America has now crashed on the proverbial landing strip? The government employee, he took the two eagles, right, and he straps them down. Now, I got a question for you here. He began transporting. Now, this will be a rhetorical question, and it's just something for you guys to think about. He begins transporting these eagles to the government shelter, right? Mm-hmm. And one of them escapes. One of the eagles breaks free and flies away, while the other went into captivity for, quote, rehabilitation, unquote.
Yeah.
I mean, now here's the question. Which one was it?
Yeah.
Which eagle managed to fly away, and which eagle went into the rehab center?
The government
or conservatism?
Yeah, the government rehab center. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I almost tend to think that we're going to get into, after the break, we're going to get into, is America mentioned in Bible prophecy? This is a very controversial topic.
Right.
And it has split churches, in fact, this topic, Bible prophecy, And but we're going to get into the whole topic of, is America mentioned in Bible prophecy? It is, and I know, I mean, the Bible is clear that, you guys are going to have some thinking to do, some homework until next week, because this is crucial that we understand this, because I mean, after hearing this evidence that America is clearly mentioned in the Bible, it will be difficult for any atheist listening to this, to remain an atheist. It is amazing when you discover that how America really is mentioned in the Bible, and how the times, the dynamics that we see happening today in the news, and how nations are positioning themselves geographically and militarily in the world today. And when you look at that and study that, it is amazing. And you have to say, wow, the Bible must be inspired by a supernatural source, because 2,000 years ago, these nations didn't even exist.
Yeah.
And here we have nations represented in the Bible in existence today, and the dynamics that are in play as they were predicted 2,000 years ago.